I feel like crying also because I think like I went too far to her. But iqiniso umbulali. That thing won't change. But I'm so sorry, Ruti. I told you in front of everyone, Ruti, you are a murderer. Umbulali, you have a graveyard, and that thing won't change.
Tonight's story takes us deep into the township of Katlehong, south of Johannesburg, a place where families live close together. Kusekasi, where neighbors know each other's business and where tensions can boil over in an instant. Anything happens, Ekasi, as you would know. This is the story of how a family argument spiraled out of control. Living influencer and reality TV star Wandi Ndlovu and her family at the center of a shocking murder case. A story of loud music, or what started off as loud music, broken trust between family members, and a fatal stabbing, and also a community divided. Stay with me because this is one of the cases that raises more questions than answers. Also, the secrecy around this case, I understand it broke just recently, but this one is being treated differently compared to a lot of cases that we cover here that broke in the same manner. The family is very silent. Officials are also very catchy and silent with the details of the story. But let us work with what we have. And remember, every single story that I do cover here is based on allegation. Nothing is proven in court as yet, and most of the stories are currently on trial or in court. So let's start. Welcome to True Crime with myself, Julia, and today's story is the story of Linda Ndlovu. So the story starts off on a Friday evening at the Ndlovu household. The night began like any other, inside one of the bedrooms of the house where Wandi Ndlovu's 45-year-old uncle, Linda Ndlovu, stayed. So it's Friday night, he's relaxing, playing his music loudly. But as the music blurred, frustrations began to grow. Wandi's mother was disturbed by the music. She went into his room and asked him to turn it down. What should have been a simple request turned into something far more dangerous. Reports say an argument broke out, and in the heat of the moment, Linda allegedly picked up a golf club and struck Wandi's mother, leaving her injured. Hearing the commotion, Wandi and her sisters, who were inside the main house, rushed outside and went to try and defend their mom. Witnesses say the shouting grew louder. Neighbors heard screams and chaos filled the house.
But you get more details sizonika ezisikhathi siya. Kodwa nje kube njalo in such a way.
Ngoba ngiyabona ukuthi ngiyafuna ukwazi ukuthi kwenzakaleni. uLinda ubuyile emsebenzini. Makabuya wangitshela uThembani ukuthi ungithengele i-cold drink. Hayi ngihlale nginganayo ngisebenzisa ifoni yami. And then bese ngiyabuya ngene ekitchen ngibona idringo ayikho. So ngizoqala la ukuthini angithi vele niyazi ukuthi la ekhaya bayenza njani. Bakhona abanolwazi ukuthi mina ngihlali ngifika makuna something ekhona. Makunento ekhona ngibese ngiyasuka le eNatali ngize la. Izolo kunomntwana obezokwenza uwandile i-makeup. Ngicela bekhuluma ngathi uyahamba namhlanje ulala out angazi ukuthi awuthi kanjani ngoba bese ngokuthi kuyoshaya u11 ukuthi awutheli njani lelo. Ngizothi umama kaWeta uyangivusa uthi sesilolama ngicela ukuthi uhambe uyokhuza uLinda ukuthi akahlisele umsindo. Ngihambe ngiye nekamereni Linda athi sisi wami kudla ngithi ngiyaphila ngithi ngicela uhlisele umsindo. Ngisho nje phansi. Ngithi mina ngiyacela bandihlisele umsindo athi yena hayi okay ngiyakuzwa sisi wami. Isuhlale phansi ke sikhulume ngale besipromisene ngayo. Ngithi mina why ufuna ukuthi sikhulume manje because wena awufikanga mabuye emsebenzini ukhulume nami. So ithi ngihambe ngiyokulala. Ngithule because mina ngiwumuntu onamahloni. Lezi zinto zokuqangisana angizijwayelanga. Nakhona ukuthi ngize ngithobe bengafuni ukuthi kube nomsindo because bengibona ukuthi khona omunye umuntu wangaphandle. And then uthobe ulo uThembani aseyavuka. ahambe kuyena-ke ngimone masakabuya esakalimala uLinda sekamshayile lana esekopha ngibambe yena-ke yabona ukuthi usephelelwa amandla izingane zibese ziyasuka ziyahamba hawu Linda umshayelani umama angizange ngikhone ngendlela engibazi ngayo ukuthi banjani if ufavor omunye banalokho ngimele ngachokheka ngama ngangazi ukuthi kumele ngithini mangithi ngiyaphuma igazi seligcwele phansi ngendlela esimanga angimbonanga ngizwa manje mina ebusuku masilaphana ngabo 3 ukuthi ugwaziwe amanxeba u3 and akabulawanga yilokho uLinda because amanxeba lawa ala into embulalile ukuthi ugodolile uhlale kakhulu ngaphandle sisaba ukuthi simthathe simfake ngaphakathi endlini so nje yile yonto guys engifuna ukuthi nibe nesithombe sayo
Among the 3 sisters was Wandi's underage sister, a younger sister who's underage. And in that moment of panic, fear and rage, one of the sisters allegedly grabbed a knife. In the middle of the confrontation, Linda was stabbed. Linda started bleeding heavily and he was visibly very injured. The pictures and the videos are out there. I am not going to share any of those here, but he was very bad. The blood that showed in those images and the videos showed that he was really bad. He bled a lot. He stumbled outside. So this started inside his room. Then he stumbled outside of the room. He went outside. And moments later, when he was outside, he collapsed. When neighbors arrived, they found Linda laying down outside the house. Paramedics were called, but it was too late. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Remember, this was in winter. South Africa, June, July is winter, so it's very, very cold. So it was cold and this happened in the night. So Linda was pronounced dead at the scene. The cause, fatal stabbing, but family members later claimed that it wasn't just a stab wound that killed him. They insisted that he died from being left outside in the cold, unattended. Regardless of the cause, the tragedy was undeniable. One family member was gone, and the rest of the family would soon be facing the law. In the days that followed, police made arrests. Wandi, her mother, and her sister Ndlovu were all taken into custody. They spent 2 weeks behind bars facing charges of murder. In court, the case drew heavy attention. So when the story broke out, there was a lot of questions more than anything, because we asked ourselves a lot of questions in terms of how did this happen? How is it that Wandi, who had just recently returned home from staying in Nigeria for almost a year or a couple of months to a year, and working on herself, on her life, working on the inner woman and the woman that she is, working on her peace, just getting a bit of therapy, because we all know Wandi's story. Wandi is someone who has been open. She is someone who has been in our faces, and for a lot of reasons, more than just her past, a lot of us related to Wandi because we saw a lot of our neighbors, especially if you grew up Ekasi, because I grew up Ekasi. So for me, I related because I saw a lot of my younger sisters. I saw a lot of abantwana basekasi in her, young girls who were just trying to make it. That for me was how I saw her. And when I saw her on TV and how she started, how people just thought, she's probably one of the ugliest people they've ever seen. But she had the best personality. Wandi was herself. She never faked anything. If anything, they will tell you, if anything, people who follow Wandi's life will tell you that she's very real. She never fakes anything. She owns up to her past and she works on herself for her future. So she did live in Nigeria for a while. She worked on her body. She got a beautiful BBL and she worked on her teeth. She worked on her skin. Wandi grew up right in front of us. And once again, a lot of us could relate because she was just like that girl we were rooting for. We to go, Wandi, go, Wandi. You are cleaning up your past, So she comes back to South Africa. She was extending her home. and then the tragedy happens. So the family appears in court. The community of Katlehong watched very closely, some demanding justice for Linda, others defending Wandi and her family as victims of a violent uncle. Eventually, Wandi and her family were released on bail. They were represented by attorney or high-profile attorney Dumisani Mabunda, best known for handling celebrity cases. But freedom came at a cost. Freedom did come at a cost for Wandi. Their reputations were shattered and their futures uncertain. The release of Wandi and her family sparked outrage, both online and on the ground. On the ground, I mean in Katlehong. The community of Katlehong were up in arms. Some community members cheered when she got bail. Once again, as I told you, that she represented a lot of our neighbors and a lot of abantwana basekasi and our sisters. So some people were like, shame, man. But others were like, So a lot of people were saying that Linda was abusive and dangerous, right? But others, a lot of community members were furious. They're demanding that the family shouldn't have been released. On social media, the news of Wandi's arrest also went viral. The township of Katlehong itself became very divided between those who supported the family and those who wanted them out of the neighborhood. The neighbors literally chased Wandi out of her home. Through all of this, Wandi Ndlovu, the influencer and the reality TV star, remained quiet. But she finally broke her silence. She told her followers that one day she would share her side of the story. But this also did not sit very well because people were asking themselves, Suguti, you are in the middle of a very serious case. Your uncle is deceased. The least you could do is take people into your confidence. But she did not do that. She left the world with a lot of questions. So people were asking themselves, Uguti, was this really self-defense? Or was it a violent overreaction to a family dispute? This case is far from over. The Ndlovu family still faces trial. Linda's death continues to haunt the streets of Katlehong. It's a tragic reminder of how quickly family conflict can escalate into irreversible violence. One life lost, 3 lives changed forever. There is no going back from here. There is no Wandi, the slave queen that we know. She can't even go back to Nigeria at this point because she's out on bail, and bail conditions do state that she needs to be in the country. She needs to be found wherever officials are looking for her. And investigations are continuing. She's preparing for trial, essentially, so she can't go anywhere. The community of Katlehong is very divided. So I want to hear from you. What do you think? Was this the case of self-defense, or was it cold-blooded murder? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. And once again, guys, do keep safe out there. I will see you on the next one.